the Super Heavy booster once again for
Awesome.
a third time. Heavy it on. Landing birds start in real time. Closing in on the tower. And it looks like a good catch of the Super Heavy booster once again for a third time. And it was some of the engines having issues on the ship upper stage. So we're watching that telemetry data on the right-hand side of your screen in the bottom corner. But so far, it looks like things are remaining healthy with the ship upper stage so far. Continues to increase in its speed. Currently 144 kilometers in altitude. Starship engine cutoff is now less than a minute away. And we are seeing some of those engines going out ahead of schedule.
Oh.
And it looks like we're in a tumble.
Jesus.
Really market tumble. Would expect them to lose communications shortly.
That is not good.
We'll see if they have communications long enough to trigger the automatic termination system. But this is markedly not what they wanted to see with this second flight of a Block 2.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate.
Let's listen into SpaceX commentary to see if they have any additional information about what's happening.
So we'll continue to stick with it.
Down to one Raptor engine.
For those of you that just recently joined us, we had a successful liftoff of the 8th test flight of Starship, followed by a successful stage separation. We saw the booster, actually, you can see it just behind us here. The booster had a successful catch back at the tower. Unfortunately, it seems as though we lost the attitude control of the ship. We are standing by as we listen in with the teams on the nets to understand what information we're able to provide you. We will provide that as soon as we are able, but it's pretty incredible to take a moment and see the booster just behind us. Certainly a different view than last time.
And at this point, we've essentially lost contact with the ship. We're no longer receiving telemetry at this moment. So we were only about 20 seconds away or so from the end of that ship ascent burn. We saw several of the engines start to cut out. Once you lose enough of those center engines, you're going to lose attitude control. And so we did see the ship start to go into a spin. And at this point, we have lost contact with the ship. So we're going to listen in for a little bit. I think it's pretty obvious we're not going to continue the rest of the mission today, but just give us a couple more minutes. We'll bring you more information as it comes in.
For those of you who may just be joining us, of course, we are in the process of covering Starship Flight 8, where almost like deja vu. We saw a catch of the Super Heavy booster, and once again, at nearly the same point in flight, the loss of attitude control with the ship upper stage. You saw the Raptor engines on ship 34 drop out one by one. And getting some reports that the ship may be visible from Central Florida. Working to see if we can get some images for you. If you're in Central Florida or in South Florida and you happen to be seeing the status of the ship upper stage, step outside if it's safe to do so, snap a video or snap a photo, take some video, and tag us on social media at either at Lab Padre or at Spaceflight Now. I'd love to see from your vantage point what you're seeing.
So, there will not be a catch attempt on Flight 9.
Yeah, I think that's, if there's anything definitive you can say about what comes next, is that it would be a decided shock if they were to proceed with a ship catch attempt with Flight 9. I can't imagine, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we've got a, sorry to cut you off, a video of visibility coming in from Orlando.
All right, so coming back with you real quick. So can confirm we did lose contact with the ship. Unfortunately, this happened last time too, so we've got some practice at this now. We've got a lot of measures in place, like debris response areas where we coordinate very closely with air traffic control. We have a lot of measures put before we ever launch a rocket to make sure that we're keeping the public safe. Those worked last time, and they're actively in work right now. So just to recap real quick, everything we saw, we lifted off right at the top of our window, essentially at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Booster was able to get us all the way up into space, made its way back here. It's sitting on the tower right behind us, our third ever catch. Starship ignited all 6 of its Raptor engines. It was just about 20 or 30 seconds away. We'll get exact times from the end of its ascent burn.
We are starting to see some video
eventually
of
lost attitude
debris
control,
falling.
and then
It's
lost contact
unclear
with
if it
the ship
is
shortly after.
falling
So
over
obviously
Florida
a lot to go through.
specifically, but we are seeing some videos start to come in from photographers and folks in the Central Florida area, including at Cape Canaveral. Seeing some video reportedly from North Florida as well that was able to see the ship as it was making its flight as well. So working to get permission to share that with you. And of course, as soon as we have that, we'll bring that into our coverage. So Zach, beyond obviously how the SpaceX team must be feeling at this point in time, your thoughts on essentially having a repeat of Flight 7, but very much not in the way as folks were anticipating.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like basically, as you mentioned, happened around at the same time. And obviously the sequence of events kind of seems very similar to Flight 7, which makes this kind of feel like an inherent issue with the overall design of the propulsion system on the version 2 ship. So um, I think they did believe they had solved it. At the same time, this is deeper into the second stage burn than what they're able to test for. So again, with that long duration static fire, it was about 60 seconds. What was the burn time on this? Do you happen to have that?
When the when it
Yeah,
started
like
to
after.
fail.
Uh huh.
Let me see if I can find that specifically.
I mean, it's basically about 5.5 minutes, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think that, without being able to do a full duration test, which is, the complete burn of the ship, it may be hard to identify these problems. And at the same time, the dynamics in vacuum are a little bit different than what you're able to test for on the ground. So they may not be getting the same type of like resonant response in the engine plumbing that they're actually seeing in flight. And so that may make it difficult for them to actually verify that the problem has been solved without actually flying it. You know what I mean? So hopefully this is an issue that can be resolved. Obviously they knew how it failed the first time, so assuming that there was some mitigations in place to prevent it from happening again, they hopefully, a second time might be a charm as far as addressing the issue, and hopefully it's not an actual overall design flaw that will force them to kind of go back to what they were doing previously as far as that engine plumbing goes.
Yeah, that would certainly be the hope that this is something that can be resolved fairly expeditiously. We're looking at some video now, shot from Central Florida. This shows just before the breakup happened. We're working to bring you some images of the ship breaking apart as well.